Take your partners and enjoy a piece of matchmaking, courtesy of Jane Austen's Persuasion. Mischief, from a novel by Ben Travers, stars Freddie Jones as Reginald, Melinda Walker as his young wife, and Brett Usher as Algy the Beanshoot. Mischief on Radio 4.
I also came across a contact who got very nervous when I started asking questions about your husband. Then my contact suddenly stopped talking. And this was no suicide.
Miss High Heels, a thriller by Robert Gittins.
BBC Radio Drama has an enormous output. We provide a single play every day of the week on Radios 3 and Radio 4. Every play that we do on Radio 4 goes out in the afternoon. I'm now talking about the single play. This is something which has, to some extent, died in television. Television has gone down the road of series and serials, and we've given a strong emphasis to the single play.
So now we come to the Harrison Hope apartment, which is on the roof, as it were, penthouse of a Las Vegas hotel.
Yeah.
There are two rooms.
Oh, it's a sort of suite, isn't it?
Yes, I think this should be the inner one because it's deader.
Yes, heavily furnished.
Yeah. With a window back there with drapes.
Yeah.
Right? There's a door here, which leads to the outer sanctum.
Yes.
Which is live.
On Radio 4, the mix is enormous. To one extreme, there's the toughish Monday play, which could be a play of sociological interest. The general flavour, let us say, could be sort of between Shaw and Ibsen, if one's talking in terms of classics. But the majority of our plays, hopefully, are popular plays.
And then over here, we have an elevator. An elevator door. That's lovely, yes?
So the door here somewhere.
Yes. So we have a screen going down there to separate the two rooms. The door and
Besides plays, I mustn't forget the series and serials which we do. The best known serial must be The Archers, which happens twice every day on Radio 4, and then has its omnibus edition on Sunday mornings, where it's an hour long, and it kind of makes an hour-long play.
I run Grey Gables, Caroline, not George Barford.
But he does know his job. He's been doing it for a long time.
Exactly. He's got a traditional view of things. Brian's much more modern.
It's only one shoot. Is it worth upsetting George for a man who makes tin cans?
Caroline, you're not being snobbish, are you?
No.
And besides, he's a sir. And besides...
What?
Well, rumour has it that his tin plums are soon going to be by royal appointment. And think of that, Caroline. Royal tin plums.
Good Lord.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll be with you in just a sec.
We also do a classic serial, a dramatisation of, say, Dickens or one of the great writers. And that happens on Wednesday afternoons, and that again is repeated within the week. And as well as doing that, we do a 30-minute thriller serial, which happens in the evenings and is repeated in the mornings. So there's one hell of a lot of it.
The Man in Black returns to Radio 4 after an absence of many years. You'll find him little changed in character, still with a fondness for the night time and desire to disturb those fears which lie dormant in all of us. The Man in Black is back.
This is your storyteller, the Man in Black. Here again to bring you another placid evening in our Farside series, Appointment with Fear.
The voice of Valentine Dial as the Man in Black in the 30s. Now Edward D'Souza assumes responsibility for this champion of horror, who is back with a vengeance.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once more to the place I have been calling my House of Horror. There is another place, however, that many people, rightly or wrongly, regard as a house of horror. I mean their dentist. As this is story number 11 in my series of Tales of Terror, it is perhaps not inappropriate that in the science of numerology, the number 11 is a decidedly unlucky one. Personally, I can never understand this dread of the dentist. After all, he's an expert with years of experience probing inside people's heads.
That's something you need to make a bit more of there, Ted, I think, that probing inside people's heads.
Yeah, okay.
Let's just take it from personally I can never understand.
Right. Personally, I can never understand this dread of the dentist. After all, he's an expert with years of experience probing inside people's heads. All you need to do is trust him.
This is how it goes up and down.
What would be nice is to catch him enjoying it, John. If you can be smiling as you come up with a sense of relief, so John catches you in the middle of that smile by tipping you backwards. We're in fact both producers and directors. We're responsible for the budgets, we're responsible for assembling the company, we're responsible for directing the play. So in fact we're responsible for the entire entity.
So the first thing we're going to do is to record your coming down the stairs, falling down the stairs at the end of the scene, which we will then play in. So if you can go up to the top of the stairs, tiptoe down, yelling as you're going bump, 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 get to the bottom and start yelling help, and keep going till we tell you to stop. Then Jessica, if you'll throw the body bag down, followed closely by the pads, just after them, okay? Yep. So let's have a go at recording then. Go.
You listening to me? Yeah. You listening good. I got 20 hearing, George. So where's the pig, Yorkie? Where's the pig? I told you, he won't play ball. Keep still, Yorkie. I can't hit you so well. Now bring him round.
Stop there, Martin.
Sorry, hold it, please.
After hit you so well,
can
we have an actual impact for the kick?
Can we have an actual impact? I'll do it on the bonnet, is it?
Right, and a distinct reaction from Tony at that point, please.
And a distinct reaction
after the kick.
I can't hit you so well.
Kick.
And that's it. Lovely.
And then a yell. Okay?
We're all still children at heart, apprehensive, but curious. This is how it goes up and down.
Oh.
Look. And this is how it tips back. Put it back! Put it back! No, you're thinking of its function. You don't need to do that. For present purposes, this chair is just a
Fight
chair.
him, John Moore.
Its
Fight him.
function is to be comfortable. Is it comfortable?
I suppose so.
How can I make it more comfortable? Back a little, up a little?
Back a little.
Different directors have different ways of working, but the most usual way of working is what they call rehearse record. So you will aim on the first day perhaps to do the first 20 pages of the script. So it divides itself up normally into easily recognizable scenes. You will rehearse that first scene until you've got it right, and then record it.
You would have, for a 30-minute play, 1 day in studio, for a 60-minute play, 2 days in studio, for a 93 days in studio. So it's approximately a day per half hour.
Mr. Houseman, do you trust me?
Yes.
Of course you do. Now, just put your arms through. That's the idea. Never mind the tapes. I'll just bring them round here. That's right. No. Just relax.
Look, I think I'd like to just...
A minute or two, Mr. Houseman, just a couple of minutes.
I think 75% of our job is casting, and then it's fine honing, so that from the read-through, you're building much more quickly than in any other medium. You're actually driving the actors to some extent to find that sixth instinct that all actors have when they go into overdrive and they start to wing it to some extent. There's an area of danger in radio drama because you never quite know when the red light goes on exactly what you're going to get.
Yorkie, you listening to me? You listening good. I got 20-20 hearing, George. So where's the pig, Yorkie? Where's the pig? I told you, he won't play ball. Yorkie, I can lick you somewhere. Bring him round, okay? Okay.
You try to think of what sort of style you want to do, and I would not want to over-prepare a play so that the actors didn't have I didn't leave any space for them. I think it's an awful lot happens in the studio. The reaction of one actor to another. They may never have met each other before.
The director will occasionally give you one or two very good notes which perhaps change your performance completely, but it'll happen very suddenly. I think of it very much like you compare an artist painting a picture, an oil painting, and taking a very, very long time over it. Compared with the way that the Chinese, those beautiful Chinese drawings, you know, where they have very absorbent rice paper and they have ink that dries very quickly. They concentrate on what they want. They paint quickly like that. And often the effect is something very startling and very imaginative and very beautiful. And I think because of the shortness of time on radio, this is what can and often does happen.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so you've got about 40 seconds altogether. 20 seconds to get over you and then 20 seconds actually here. So the important thing is to try and pace yourselves so that you've actually got enough water to actually keep that going long enough. Because the windpipe actually slides through, there's going to be a fresh supply of oxygen coming in all the time. So the important thing really is to try and keep that quality going and let it get hissy enough. So you actually feel that the sort of blood is frothing at the mouth from all that. So, you know, just don't take too much at the beginning or else you're going to absolutely just drown your own blood, literally.
I suppose finally the most difficult thing and the most exhausting thing and also the most exciting and pleasurable thing is being in the studio, often for a very short period. One would do a 90-minute play probably in 4 days, actually, in the studio, rehearsing with the actors and then putting it onto tape. And that is the most draining because you've always got to be giving energy. You've always got to be listening and trying to take what and use what people are offering you. And listening so that you're aware that what they're doing and showing in their faces is also coming over on the tape.
So we go door slam, George, footsteps, then you see him, and then you react.
Right, thanks.
Okay, Ian? And
George? George? I want to talk. George!
My God, what the hell's happened to you? Picture, if you will, St. Luke's Square, Bursley. The senior of the 5 towns responsible for nearly every cup, saucer and plate to be found throughout the length and breadth of England.
Regarded as one of the best of Bennett's stories, set in the Staffordshire Potteries, The Old Wives' Tale follows from youth to old age the lives of 2 sisters, Sophia and Constance, the daughters of Baines, the Bursley draper.
44 years old with a clapped-out Mini, an overdraft you can't pay, and somebody offers you a book that almost guarantees you a lifeline, and you sit there talking about morality.
Up to the roundabout, do a quick right. Brakes. Brakes aren't working. Oh, come on.
Corruption in London's East End. A writer's dream or nightmare.
Dennis Waterman stars in A Long Memory, this week's Saturday Night Theatre.
Half our producers are outside London, in regional production centres. And the idea there is that you can pull upon writers in the area and, of course, actors within the area. So that everything doesn't have the same kind of London, south of England voice.
So Chris and George, they've got the 2 racehorses. We have to decide whether we want them to win or lose. I think we don't want to concentrate on both racehorses. It's too complicated for people.
It got confusing last year, I think.
Well, Ambridge Flyer seems the obvious choice.
Ambridge Flyer is the one that's away, being trained professionally. It was very successful last year.
As a novice.
As a novice. Now, if it's successful this year, her husband, George, will be chastened to some extent because he didn't want her to spend that money on the horse. Of course, if it starts losing...
No, I think maybe it should lose because there is more dramatic mileage in that, definitely, because I think there'll be more conflict between Chris and George.
And presumably it's a pretty expensive business. I mean, there must be a lot of money at stake.
Yes.
At this point, I think it would be great to see Christine having been on a high and Ambridge Flower winning last season to perhaps bring her down to earth a bit this time.
It's a much stronger dramatic line, anyway.
Yeah, yes. I think so. What do you think, Simon?
Well, yes, I think he should lose. This would put George in a much stronger position. And he could say, well, look, I told you so, let's get rid of it. It's gone on long enough. I'm not going to take it any longer. So, if we want a row between the 2, it'd make a more interesting, dramatic situation.
Do you like it enough to write it?
Well, yes, I'm a...
Sold to the man in the blue shirt. It goes to your week.
I would say the majority of our work is commissioned work. Then, of course, we get a great number, about 200 a week, of unsolicited scripts which come in from members of the public. And we have found a huge number of writers that way. Last year we did, I think I'm correct in saying, 57 first plays by new writers.
The great excitement is to get a play that lands on your desk from an unknown writer and it works. I mean, that's a very, very rare privilege, and that's very exciting. I had one not long ago from a 16-year-old, in fact, who was a regular listener to radio drama, sent in a play, and 90% of that play worked. That was tremendous. I mean, it was a great sense of excitement to come across a new talent.
I got in at the shallow end. There was a nice series called Just Before Midnight, and they were a series of 15-minute plays. And I had 2 in the series. And in fact, one of them bucked me up considerably because, for no special reason, it got 1.5 lines in some national newspaper, which were nice about it. Just at the moment where I was thinking, really, I might have to give all this up. And I remember that part of it distinctly because I thought, I thought I can do this. I'll do some more.
We're probably the last great enabler for writers. We actually extend patronage to a whole range of writers, and a percentage of our work is always by new writers, which is very, very exciting. I think television are much more wary, of course, about risking capital in new writers, which, because our costs are much cheaper, we are prepared to do that. And we also work with writers in great detail, getting their scripts right, working on scenes, working on the structure, working on characterization, and saying, actually, this won't do. You've got to improve this, take it away, come back with it again.
Now, because we're a little on the long side, Mindy, I've got a possible cut. On page 47, if we cut from Q8 to the bottom of the page, yes, which is all the Ginger Hope stuff, whole of page 48, and going on to the top of 49, cutting down to Q3.
Oh, well, I'd rather like to keep 2 on 48.
But your voice suddenly sounds a lot stronger. It's good and it's funny, but I think we get it anyway, because when she comes in, he's terribly weak and feeble. It gets us to the kiss faster, and his voice starts to strengthen. I think the joke comes in him actually getting stronger rather than her telling us. And we then get to the chase a lot faster as well. I think that's quite fun.
The department is not just a drama department. Perhaps it's more like an arts and, for want of a better word, although it's a dirty word in English, a culture department. That's what we'd probably be called if we were in Germany, the Kultur department. It being English, we soften it and call ourselves the drama department, which we like. But we're not exclusively a plays department.
Aha. Piers, hello.
Hi, Simon. The Mexicans begin jogging.
Right.
Poetry program, very simple, nice, undecorated announced.
No, Chicano, presumably, Gary Soto, and Tom Hunsinger. Right? Yes, okay, right, so easy then, okay. Yeah. Mexicans begin jogging. The Chicano poet Gary Soto talks about his work, and some of his poems are read by Tom Hunsinger.
At the factory I worked in the fleck of rubber, under the press of an oven yellow with flame, until the border patrols opened their vans and my boss waved for us to run. Over the fence, Soto, he shouted, and I shouted that I was American. No time for lies, he said, and pressed $1 in my palm, hurrying me through the back door. Since I was on his time, I ran, and became the wag to a short tail of Mexicans. Ran past the amazed crowds that lined the street and blurred like photographs in rain. I ran from that industrial road to the soft houses where people paled at the turn of an autumn sky. What could I do but yell vivas to baseball, milkshakes, and those sociologists who would clock me as I jog into the next century on the power of a great, silly grin?
It's nice. I think you've got it. You've got the irony, and you've got it simple.
Great.
And the speed's right.
Cue singing and rowing. Cue soundings.
The feature is something, in my opinion, that is not a play. Sometimes it's dramatised, sometimes it's actuality. At the moment, we're mounting a big new series on Australia in celebration of the bicentenary, which is a combination of acted, of location, of interviews with people.
Okay, let's have a left and a right then.
Okay, Andrew's left-hand side on microphone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, right.
Okay, over to the right-hand side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Okay, centre. This is a centre on the microphone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay.
Okay, right. This is Australia, episode 2, reel 1. I'm here at Chew Valley Lake, about 10 miles south of Bristol. Okay.
What we're trying to do is to cover the history of Australia, starting with the Aborigines 40, 60,000 years ago, and bring the story right up to the present day. And so what we decided to do, to try and cover as much ground as possible to give the richness and as many aspects of Australian life as possible, was to have a continuous background track of things happening, as it were, off-screen. And to do this, we've quite often gone out on location.
John, this is Nick.
Oh, hello, Nick.
G'day.
Welcome to Australia.
Oh, right.
Good, you're going to enjoy it.
We've got a boat waiting for us down here.
Oh, yes.
It's lovely soft weather, as we say, which is very good for recording.
You simply, however good the acoustics in the studio, and they're very good in this studio, even with that, we couldn't get the sense of distance, the sense of perspective that you can get on location. So that, for example, in episode 2, we had a sailor taking soundings. We also had a sailor singing as he rowed at a great distance. And that, of course, provides a wonderful pictorial sense to the listener. It creates wonderful pictures in the listener's imagination that would be difficult to do if we only had the studio.
We had the satisfaction of finding the finest harbour in the world in which 1,000 sail of the line could ride in perfect security. I fixed on a cove which had the best springs of water, and in which ships can anchor so close to the shore that the largest may unload.
The whole radio drama operation per year costs half of what it costs to run the National Theatre. And the National Theatre has an audience of between 800,000 to 1 million, whereas if we were in the business of selling seats, we would actually sell 740 million tickets.
Dr. Foster was a good man. He whipped his scholars now and then, and when he had done, he took a dance out of England.
We did a scene in which 2 naturalists who went out with the First Fleet describe the activity when they started cutting down some of the wood to build the first huts in Port Jackson. And here we did something which is a great joy in radio. We created a cast of thousands out of 4 actors and a couple of studio managers.
In one place, a party cutting down the woods. A second, setting up a blacksmith's forge. A third, dragging along a load of provisions. Here, an officer pitching his tent with troops parading on one side and a cook's fire blazing on the other.
What Tench doesn't mention are the problems which had begun to dog Philip from the first moments. The poor quality of the axes and saws, especially when pitted against the hard gum wood. The reluctance of the convicts to do any work at all, and the lack of anyone appointed to superintend them. Philip assumed that the Marines would take on this duty.
I won. And me. Yeah. Paper! Dr. Foster was a good man. He whipped his scholars now and then.
Add colony effects.
The confusion will not be wondered at when it is considered that every man stepped from the boat literally into a wood.
Add natural history.
The spot that had so lately been the abode of silence was now the abode of clamour and confusion.
Captain Tench gives a picture of happy industry.
In one place, a party cutting down the woods. A second, setting up a blacksmith's forge. A third, dragging along a load of provisions. Here, an officer pitching his tent with troops parading on one side and a cook's fire blazing on the other.
What Tench doesn't mention are the problems which had begun to dog Philip from the first moments. And the poor quality of the axes and saws, especially when pitted against the hard gum wood. The reluctance of the convicts to do any work at all, and the lack of anyone appointed to superintend them. Philip assumed that the Marines would take on this duty.
Good. That's going to be fine. I still want to swell those colony effects, actually, immediately after the anvil at the bottom of speech 2 on 26.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay?
Well, I've often heard the story of people who've been on a car journey and say we arrived and we had to actually sit outside where we were going to in order to hear the end of the play. I mean, it's happened to me, in fact. You can listen in the bath, in the loo, in the garden, and now, of course, with head cans, you walk around, be on a bicycle, anywhere.
Right, so just remember the room's in darkness so Ginger can't see Harrison Hope looking like a cross between Howard Hughes and a Yeti lying ill with his long hair and fingernails and everything, okay? Let's have a go at recording.
Stand by, light coming.
Why is it so dark in here?
It was his last wish. Wanted the drapes closed and a single yellow candle lit way over there in the corner. Said that when that there candle went out, he'd go out with it.
Is that you, cowboy?
Yes, sir. It's good old cowboy. I brung her, Mr. Hope. I brung Miss Ginger just like you wanted.
Thank you, cowboy. Leave us now, will you? I'll call you when...
Yeah, I'll come a-running, boss. I surely will.
Heartless, won't you let me switch on the lamp? I can't see a thing in here.
Cowboy didn't lie to you, Ginger. I do have heart trouble. But you could clear it up in a minute if you'd let me propose again.
Oh, Heartless. Harry, I think I've been falling in love with you from the moment I kissed you.
You have? You did? You mean...
You will?
You got me.
Wowee, I can't believe it. Oh, we'll have the biggest darn wedding in Nevada. I'll give Cowboy a new Stetson. I'll give Kip a new hotel. I'll give C.W. an old IOU. I'll...
Harry!
Yes?
Shut up and kiss me. You shaved off your beard.
Yes.
You cut off your hair.
Yes.
Your nose is a different shape.
Mm-hmm.
Wait there. Don't move. I'm going to let some light in here.
Surprise!
What? Well?
I flew in a plastic surgeon to take in a little tuck here and there, and he gave me this wonderful new nose.
Your hair?
Cute, isn't it? I had a permanent and a few highlights here and there. The manicurist loved it after she screamed a couple of times when she saw my nails. Now they're absolutely lovely. Look, just a touch of pink polish and dinky little white half moon.
Oh.
Hey, well, where are you going?
I'm going to Tallahassee or Timbuktu or any other place they don't have Roman noses and tinted toupees and dinky little half moon.
I don't understand. I thought you wanted me to change.
I wanted you to take care of yourself, but I wanted you, not a male model with a smile like a chorus boy in an ad for creative dentistry.
But look at me. I'm beautiful.
I want my old beast back. He was real.
Of all the unreasonable
Will you stop yelling at me?
I changed my whole life for you. And are you grateful? I am going to tell you exactly what I think of you.
You got to catch me first. Goodbye.
You just watch.
Hey, Miss Ginger, that there frill thing's come adrift.
I'm catching up on
Mr.
you.
Hope, this ain't no running track.
Miss me.
Miss Ginger, Mr. Boss, no, not that way. That's the door to the... Yeah, get a doctor. No, get an ambulance to the emergency staircase. Yeah, we got an emergency.
That worked. That's good. I like that. I thought it was smashing. I love the falling down the stairs. That was marvellous. That worked very well.
Starting on Monday, a new book at bedtime. The award-winning Nairn in Darkness and Light. A man's memories of his boyhood holidays in Scotland.
At Kingusie, a piper in grand Highland dress got on and walked up and down the corridors playing his bagpipes. At Aviemore, the main part of the train, with him on board, went on to Inverness, and our part, with only one engine, walked right. We learned the names of the stations by heart, and I have never forgotten them. They became like a poem in my head. Boat of Garton, Broom Hill, Granton on Spey, Davamore, Dumfail, Forest Brody, Aldern.
You have been watching Because the Scenery is Better, a look at BBC radio drama with excerpts from some of the many programmes it broadcasts each year. The BBC wish to thank the many writers, actors, directors and technicians who took part. The production services manager was Steve Diamond. Marjorie Sturman was the production assistant. Stereo sound recording was by Bill Shano, John Hooper, Derek Norman, Anthony Wernham and Tim Humphreys. The dubbing editor was Christine Newby. David Old was the dubbing mixer. Principal photography was by Brian Hall, Dave Whitson, Paul K. Wheeler, Alan Stevens, John Baker and Nigel Walters. Roland Tunn was the film editor, and the film was produced and directed by Robert Clamp.
Thanks, Peter. That was fine.